Hey everyone, I'm Pat.
And I'm Sandy.
And we're with Infinite Fitness, and today we're going to be debunking 3 common fitness myths surrounding women over 50 and strength training. So the first myth that we're going to cover today is that lifting weights is dangerous for women that are over 50. Now, Sandy, why do you think that some people would believe that lifting weights is dangerous for women over 50?
So I think a big part of it is probably someone had a friend or knew someone that did get hurt while they were lifting. So then they hear this story about how it's unsafe and that nobody should do it because they're going to get hurt too. So I just think a lot of it is what they've heard from someone else. And to be honest, the truth is that it's actually unsafe to not lift heavy because not lifting is going to affect bone density and muscle loss and a lot of other things.
Absolutely. And I mean, osteoporosis and osteopenia are 2 of the things that affect women as they age. I mean, typically around the time that you turn 30 or 35, your muscle and bone loss begins to start. So when you're reaching the age of 40s, 50s, even 60s, some people can see significant bone and muscle loss. And so strength training is actually one of the best ways to prevent muscle and bone loss as you age. And if you look at the research, strength training is actually the safest form of physical activity for people to participate in and has the lowest risk of injury per 1,000 hours of participation of any sport. And that's talking a little bit more about strength training at a high level. If we're talking about more moderate strength training, that's even safer. So strength training is definitely a very safe, a very low barrier way for people to get into fitness and can reap some really long-term benefits.
Absolutely. So the second myth that we're going to cover today is that people believe that walking alone is enough to maintain and remain healthy as you get older. So why do you think that people think that walking is enough?
So I think a lot of it does come back to that whole concept of people believe that strength training is dangerous and that strength training is going to do more harm than good after you reach a certain age. And it's interesting because actually the converse is true. Walking is a great form of activity, but it only offers certain benefits. It's going to give you some low-level cardiovascular benefits, but it's not going to give you the high-level cardiovascular benefits that higher intensity forms of cardio would give you. And it's also not going to give you the benefits of strength training. And I think you talked about that a little bit before, about how strength training can be really beneficial for building muscle, building bone mass.
So walking is not that it doesn't have any benefits, but it's just certainly not enough. There needs to be more to the picture.
Absolutely. And so obviously engaging in walking enough to get cardiovascular benefits is important, but still incorporating some form of higher intensity cardio and also incorporating some form of strength training is going to be really important for women as they age. And again, this goes back to what we talked about with the last myth of women are over 50 are more likely to experience muscle and bone loss. And so strength training can prevent and also reverse some of these effects that aging has on the body. So the third myth that we're going to cover today is that women over 50 cannot build muscle mass. So Sandy, tell me a little bit about this myth. I mean, why do you think that people believe that this is true?
Well, I think people believe it's true because there's a lot of news out there that it's hard to build muscle after 50, and it is harder, but it's not impossible. And studies have actually shown that people can build muscle well into their 80s and 90s. So really at any age, you can still build muscle.
Absolutely. So really building muscle at any age is something that's a possibility. And as you mentioned, it is something that's a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. And so I think one of the things that you and I were talking about earlier is just when you are following a program at any age, you want to make sure that your program is progressively overloaded. So Sandy, what does progressive overload mean?
So progressive overload is really just a way to manage a program so that we can either add weight, reps, or sets so that you can continue to activate the muscles so that you can get continued growth by just following a structured program.
For sure. So basically, you want to make sure that you're challenging yourself over the long term. And if you are challenging yourself, you're going to build muscle, you're going to build bone mass. And if you look at the research, this is actually shown in all studies that no matter how old someone is, especially if they haven't exercised before or haven't lifted weights before, following a progressively overloaded program does lead to muscle growth and also an increase in bone mass at any age. And even for people that have strength trained before, if it's been a while, When you strength train, your muscles accumulate these things called satellite cells. And what satellite cells are is they signal to your body that something is happening. So when you stop strength training, even though you might lose a little bit of muscle mass and have a little bit of bone loss and things like that, when you start strength training again, this is where that concept of muscle memory comes back. And your muscles remember that they've done this before, and it's actually easier for you to rebuild muscle, even if it's been a long time since you strength trained. So no matter what age you are, if you haven't trained before or if you have trained before, strength training is going to be super beneficial for you, and it is still possible to build muscle and bone at any age. So in today's video, we covered 3 common myths that affect women over 50 when it comes to fitness. Number 1, the belief that strength training is dangerous. As we mentioned before, strength training is probably the safest activity that you can participate in at any age, and the research confirms this. Number 2 is that walking is enough to maintain your fitness as you age. As we mentioned, walking is very beneficial. You're going to get some cardiovascular benefits from it, but it's not going to do the same thing that higher intensity forms of cardiovascular training will do. And it also is not going to prevent muscle and bone loss like strength training will. So doing more than just walking is very beneficial. And the third thing is that it's hard or impossible, as some would say, to build muscle after a certain age. And this, again, does not align with the research. Research shows that muscle can be built at any age and that bone loss can be halted and even reversed at any age, assuming people are following a progressively overloaded program. So we both want to thank you for watching today's video.
I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope there was something in the video that you could take away from what we've shared.
And if you did take some away from the video, please feel free to hit the like button down below, and also be sure to subscribe to our channel. And we look forward to putting out some more content for you guys very soon.